Welcome to the platform where I talk about everything relevant, topics that resonate, and help you elevate. This is the platform. If you're a new viewer or an occasional viewer, please do subscribe. Your support goes a long way. Thank you. Today's episode is the concept of value. All men seek thee. So, what determines the value of something? What determines the value of someone? What determines their worth? Is their worth basically based on how they look? Is it based on the words they speak? Is it based on how much money they have? What really determines value? Why do we even have to know the value of something or know the value of someone? Well, I'll tell you one thing. When you know the value of something, you can give it the honor it deserves. When you know the value of someone, you can give them the honor that they deserve. So that's why you have to know the value of something, because you don't want to overcompensate in how you honor something when it does not deserve the honor that you're presenting to it or presenting to give to it. So that's why I have to know the value of something. So how about when it comes to people? What determines the value of a man? Is it the amount of money that they have? Is it their confidence? Is it how they speak? Is it their aura? What really determines the value of a man? Not only the value of a man, what also determines the value of a woman? Is it her beauty? Is it her kindness? Is it the shape of her body? What is it really? I mean, what really determines the value of something? When it comes to retails, when they want to come up with the value of something, they look at the cost that they incur in order to procure that which they want to sell. So from having that, they're able to then calculate how much they're gonna sell the item for, so that they are able to actually make a profit after selling that product that they want to sell. So that's how they come up with the value of something. They look at the cost of acquisition, and then they also look at the selling price, and then they calculate how much they're going to make from it. And that's how they determine the value of something, or the value of the profit that they're going to get from something. So obviously value is such an important thing that you have to know, because, well, everything has a value. Everything is worth something. One of my cousins always say that everything is a price. At times I'd ask him like ridiculous questions. So one of the things I used to ask him is, okay, I would present him a scenario, right? And then I would ask him, okay, let's say that I had $1 million to give you for you to do something for me like this. Would you do it? And then you'd say no. And then I asked, okay, let's say it was 1 billion. And then that's when he said that yes. So he was trying to emphasize on the point that everything is a value. Everyone has a price. That is what he was trying to illustrate to me, right? And he had his own price for the scenarios that I was presenting to him. You have to know your price as a person. You have to know your worth. You have to know your self-worth, so that you don't put yourself in scenarios that depreciate your value, or that make you depreciate your value just because you want to please the next person next to you. Or that's not a good thing, because if you are someone like that, well, that's repetitive behavior. Once you start doing it, it'll become a pattern, and it's a pattern that leads to destruction, or most of the time. So it's so important to have value. Well, there's some things that actually never lose value. Think of money, for example. I don't remember who the speaker was, but he came up with an illustration where he was holding a $20 note, 20 US dollar note, a 20 USD note, a 20 US dollar note, right? So all he did is he squeezed the note, right? And then he put it on the ground and then he started stamping his feet on it. And it became all dirty and it was no longer looking attractive, right? But then after he had done all that, he then asked the crowd, is there anyone who wants this $20 note? And everyone wanted a $20 note. But why? They wanted it because it still carried the value, So that is what value does for you. That even if you are in such a state that is not so pleasing, you still have some value that you have, So personally, I believe that beauty is important. I believe that looking good is important, but I think there's something deeper than that should determine value. Just like this $20 note, you see, even though it was now looking bad, even though it was now looking so crusty, even though it was now looking undesirable, it still carried the value that is necessary for it to be desired by the next person. So when it comes to people now, when it comes to you, do people still see your worth? Do people still value you when you're not looking at your optimum, when you're not looking at your best? Do you still have something to offer besides your beauty, besides your looks, besides how much money you have in your wallet? Because I'll tell you this, as the Bible says, that beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears God is to be praised. I never really understood the concept, because when you're growing up, you're so attracted to things that look beautiful and things that present beauty. But as you get older, you understand that, okay, beauty is important, but there's something that should be deeper than what what meets the eye. And what is that? That is the value that cannot be shaken. And that is the value that people, almost everyone, seeks in other people. Because, well, at least that never changes, or it barely does change. If it's changing, it changes for the better, all things remaining equal. If you put in your value in something like money, for example, well, that can work for a little while, or maybe it can work actually long term because money answers all things, but it doesn't really connect to what is eternal. I'm sure that you don't want to be appreciated or just valued by the amount of money that you have. You want to be valued for who you are as a person. You don't want to be valued just because you're beautiful. You want to be valued because of what's actually within you, what's actually deeper than what meets the eye. Because, well, we're all gonna get old and we're gonna have wrinkles. So the concept of someone putting their value in their beauty is not really sustainable because, well, 20 years later from now, you won't be looking as attractive as you're looking now. It's a fair concept, really. And if you're a man, let's say you put your value in money, well, life can take you another direction and, you end up losing that money that you have. Not that you become broke or poor, but you just won't be having as enough money as you had before. And God forbid that from happening, but life is not so linear, such a way that we can accommodate every other scenario or perspective that can happen because life is dynamic. You know, a billionaire can become broke the next day, or if they're not managing their finances properly, if they haven't invested enough in the things that allow them to continuously make more money. So now that we've presented all these scenarios, okay, we can come down to the question and say and ask, what is value? What really is value? There's so many definitions when it comes to value. Right now, I can say that value is the perceived cost of something or the perceived appreciation of something. Value determines how much you appreciate something, how much you honor something, how much you're willing to pay attention to something. That is value. So if something is more valuable, that means it's more precious to you. So you're going to appreciate it more. So, and if something is of less value, you won't pay attention to it more. You won't honor it as much as you honor something that is of high value. So now the question becomes, how do you become valuable? Well, there's so many ways that you become valuable. Number one is that you become valuable by investing in yourself. And what does it mean when I say investing in yourself? By investing in yourself, I mean that improving yourself to become better. You become better by improving your being, improving you as a person. That means that improving your belief systems, working on your self-worth, working on your mannerisms, working on the interactions that you have within your thoughts. That's how you improve yourself, and that's how you add value to yourself by changing the way you think, changing your mindset. Because as men think it's so easy, whatever you think you can become. So you don't want to think of yourself in a less of a manner when you are actually someone who's brilliant and someone who's awesome. The concept of you becoming valuable, it actually points out to you improving your intrinsic value, because however you perceive yourself, other people perceive you in that manner as well. Because if you don't see yourself as valuable, there's a way that you present it. You might not know it, you might not even see it yourself, but there's a way that someone who is insecure presents themselves. And there's a way that someone who's confident sees themselves. And they have to present it, they have to speak it. Even if you're speaking to them through the interaction, you can tell from the voice and the way that someone is speaking that, okay, this person is a confident person and they are almost unshakable, really, because they are standing on a solid ground as compared to someone who's insecure, whereby they're not standing on a solid ground. So you become valuable by improving things within yourself. Things like your confidence matter as well. Things like kindness, things like the care that you give to other people. That is what makes you valuable. Okay, think about this. You're someone who's kind. You're someone who's caring. You're someone who, well, looks good. You present yourself in a way that allows other people to notice you. That is going to improve your value because your value at times is actually determined by other people. And the more you're important to other people, sometimes the more valuable you are because people will always seek value. And when people seek value, what does that mean? When people seek value, they're simply looking for the God within you. They're looking for the image. They're looking for the expression of the image of God within you. What am I saying? I am saying that what determines the concept, the overall global concept of value is the expressed image of God in human beings. And every trait and every character that represents God, that represents Christ, is what people are looking for within you. So you might ask someone, okay, what do you want in a romantic partner? They'll say that I want someone who's kind, someone who's gentle, someone who's patient, someone who's willing to go the extra mile for me. If you look at all the traits that they describe, or most of them, or if they're sane, or if they possess some level of, you know, decorum, or I don't know what word he is, but if they possess some level of righteousness or something, you find out that everything they describe is almost pointing to God because that's what everyone wants. They want someone who is representing the highest good. And that's why most of the time, if someone is describing the person that they want to be friends with, or someone they want to be with romantically, whatever traits they give you, most of the time, they'll be pointing to God because God represents the highest good, and we all want something that is good in our lives. You know, this takes me to the scenario in the book of Mark, in the first chapter, verse 37. So in this chapter, Jesus has done so many things. He had healed people who were sick. He had healed Peter's mother. He had done some awesome things, that allow you to actually see that, okay, this person is actually onto something. He's been solving all these problems that people have, and that's one way that you can improve your value, even in a company as well. You improve your value by the problems that you're capable of solving, and the more problems you're able to solve, the more money you're able to make. Well, sometimes because, well, companies are different and people are different and organizations are different, you know but when you are able to solve people's problems, you become more valuable. When you become someone that people can depend on, you become more valuable. So the question now is, in whatever part of life that you're in right now, you have to ask yourself, how do I solve other people's problems? And how do I make other people depend on me? In what ways can I add value to other people's lives? You add that value by being kind, by being patient with people, by being someone who's able and capable of listening, by being honest and capable of telling the truth. Because we all want people who can be honest with us and tell us the truth. No matter how terrible the truth is always worth hearing. Nothing is better than hearing the truth. Anyways, back to Jesus. So Jesus has been doing all these awesome things. He becomes so valuable that in verse 37, you know, these guys come to him, people come to him, and they say that, "All men seek thee." Everyone is looking for you. Basically, that's what they meant. That everyone is looking for you. So why are they looking for him? They're looking for him because he's carrying something, he's possessing something that is making people look for him. Because people don't look and people don't chase for empty vessels. You have to be carrying something within you that allows people to actually like look for you. Because what's the point of looking for an empty vessel? What's the point of looking for something that has no value? So you have to be someone of value. And one of the ways you become so valuable is actually by accepting yourself as who you are. Self acceptance is such a powerful thing because when you get to the point of self acceptance, you are able to look at yourself in the mirror and point out your flaws. And once you point out your flaws, you can then sit down, breathe in and out, and ask yourself, what can I fix about myself that needs fixing? What can I make better about myself? What is not working right now in my life? And from there, whatever pieces that you have of yourself that you think that need to go for you to become a better person, for you to become more valuable, you have to get to the point where you cut off the branches within you that do not produce any fruit. And the ones that are producing fruit, you prune them so that they become more fruitful. And that's how you improve your value. You improve your value by being able to actually set boundaries because, well, boundaries point out to you actually possessing self-respect. Because if you don't respect yourself, then who do you expect to respect you? It all starts with you. before it spreads out to other people. Even love as well. You cannot give what you don't have. If you don't love yourself, who do you expect to love you if you can't even love yourself? How do you even possess the ability to love someone if you don't love yourself? Well, I'm speaking about true love, the one that represents the highest good, the one that represents God, the love that is patient, kind, gentle, slow to anger. That is the love that I speak of. So, there's so many things that can help you to improve your value, and love is actually one of them. When you possess love and you're able to give it to other people, that's how you become valuable to other people. That's how you become valuable to yourself as well, by possessing love. So, yes, everything is worth something, everything is valuable, depending on the one who possesses it. If you take drugs to a church, they will not see the value of the drugs because they don't need them. But if you bring them a Bible, they will see the value because they want it and they want to use it, or maybe give it to someone, or maybe donate it to someone. So that's the thing about value. You have to simply present yourself to the crowd or to the audience that need you, because in this world there's a place for everyone. There are places where people will see your value, and there are places where people might not see your value. So the thing is that you have to go where you're wanted, and you have to go where you're needed. But wherever you're needed or wherever you're wanted, make sure that you are valuable to those people, and more so, you're valuable to yourself in the way that you want to be valuable to yourself. Because if you look closer, you see that you're actually an awesome person, and not everyone can do what you can do, and that is your superpower. This is episode 6, the concept of value. Oh man, sick of thee. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening.